Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is Oscar Bevis for IFL TV. George, thanks for giving me some of your time post-fight. The build-up, friends turn enemies, to share 12 rounds like that, hug it out at the end. I think a good night for British boxing tonight.
Great night for British boxing. Great fight. Lived up to expectation. Two good fighters, good pedigrees, performing well, getting there and gave it their absolute all. The fight ebbed and flowed either way. I had Buatsi up and winning after 2 rounds, thinking he's going to be able to control this and win. Then Aziz comes back into it. He's catching Buatsi, he's pulling out high, good right hand, worked the body well in those early rounds. Buatsi comes back, great with the left hook, loads of success with that. Yeah, bro. And I think almost getting to that point where he's pulling ahead, 4 rounds to go. I'm thinking, is this getting a little bit too far for Aziz to sort of? Is he going to need a knockout to win? Is he going to need some knockdowns? But he comes back into it, and then going into that 11th round, I think I had it 6-4. And if Aziz wins these last 2 rounds, it's all up. It's all up for play. I wasn't sitting there with the scorecard, so I might have got I might have been a little bit out. It might have been 7-3, but it felt like it was all to play for, and I was a bit hard. I'll be honest, I'm heartbroken for Aziz for getting dropped in that 11th round, because he gets hit as he's going down, so it is a knockdown. The referee made the right call, but from the clip that I've seen, he definitely slips. He slips. It's not. I don't think that's really up for debate. And then all of a sudden, that's put a massive curveball on the fight. Aziz has then got to go for it. He obviously goes down again. Even that looked like a bit of a slip. But both men, to their credit, gave it their all to the very last bell. Great night for British boxing.
How you thought of the fight beforehand and how you thought it would play out? Did it match up to how it did play out in the ring?
Well, yeah, I try not to give predictions before the fight if I'm working, and I thought it's either going to be that fight, or I thought Buatsi might just be that class above, because he's got that amateur pedigree, he's got those great wins, amateur and pro. He's had that acid test against Craig Richards where that was a close fight. I had that really close, but he got the win. He would have dealt with a prep, about to get run over now, and
that's one thing we don't need. George goes in.
Anyway, it's not my taxi. So but Aziz showed class. He showed ability. He showed how much he's improved. And the weird one for me was like, these guys have been sparring right up until I think Aziz's last fight. So they I've had fights against guys that I sparred before, but it's usually been years before, and then we've both made improvements and changes. So you don't really know what to expect, but they must have known exactly what to expect going into this fight. And he still delivered. I think Aziz showed everyone he's a world level operator now. Out of his haggler type, style that at times works exceptionally well for him. So, he came in really light yesterday. He showed up late. I thought when he showed up to the building today, he looked a little bit weathered, and I'm not being cruel about him. I thought something's gone wrong here fight week, he's misjudged the weight, and I thought he might gas out now after a few rounds. It's a big night, a big occasion. I watched him on the ring walk, and he wasn't flowing and firing how I thought he might. But then I think he's just a fighter. So once it gets into the action, he comes alive. He goes into fight mode, and they both produced a brilliant fight.
In terms of Buatsi, do we look at Anthony Yarde next? Because yes, he wants to fight for the world light heavyweight title, but Bivol Beterbiev is main priority. So do we look at Buatsi Yarde next?
Yeah, I mean, if that fight could get made, that's a great fight. It's a great fight. I mean, Yarde's obviously.
Could we run this back? I know there was the knockdowns at the end, but could we run this back?
Well, yeah, I think that'll be a bit cruel on Buatsi because he's got the whip, and he's the guy who I thought was the standout talent from his Olympic cycle. I mean, he came down the gym, and I was fighting for world titles. He was an amateur, and he'd give me fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful. Like, I'm the wily old pro. Do you know what I mean? I should be able to control him, put him in his box, or at least he'll win the first 3 rounds, and then I'll sink him into deep water. But he'll come and hang me for 10 rounds. Like, yeah. And I was thinking, this guy, he's a super talent, great athlete, super talent, good attitude, respectful, good head on his shoulders. And it hasn't quite happened for him. And he's had a couple of injuries, a couple of maybe managerial problems. But also, I think sometimes he's overthought things. Maybe if there has been opportunities for him to force himself into situations where he would have got the bigger fights sooner, he chose not to. So now I feel like he knows his time is now. He's been pro long enough. He's 30 years of age. It's time for him to crack on, and I would like to see him in the winner of Bivol Petreviev. And if that means a yard fight in between, great. Whether he wants to go back down that high pressure domestic dust up route, I don't know. And if he chooses another route, I don't blame him. As in another gatekeeper, maybe an American or a South American or something. I haven't gone to rankings in front of me to have a look, but I think he deserves now. The ultimate goal in boxing is a world title shot.
Just one more thing, George. How gutted was you as a boxing fan last night? I know we've now got the rescheduled date of May the 18th, but kind of the boxing gods working in horrible ways yesterday.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to it. I was booked to go. It was my first trip back to Saudi since covering Joshua. My second trip back since boxing out in Saudi, so I was looking forward to going. I thought I was looking forward to there being one unified champion in the heavyweight division. It's in the 4-belt era. So, yeah, I don't know if it'll ever happen. Hello, mate. Go ahead. You good? Yeah. That's Kugan Cassius.
The leader of the team. So May the 18th. You're a perfect person to ask for this, I guess. As a boxer who would have suffered cuts and seen fighters with cuts and in camps, does it seem like quite a close amount of time, considering we're led to believe the cut was only yesterday or the day before? It's quite a close time frame.
Have you booked your flights yet? No. Are you going to book your flights soon? No. Are you going to do it with a small extra fee to get a refund if it doesn't happen?
100%.
Exactly. I think who knows? I've been sceptical enough about a lot of things of late. I don't need to become that guy and be sceptical of this rematch. Who knows? But a cut it technically can heal really quickly. You get stitches in, you get them out after 5 days. You rest it, you massage it, get rid of the scar tissue, probably bio oil in, and a few other bits and pieces, and you could be sparring again in a little over a month. Probably doesn't need to do that, but he can certainly be training again, doing his pad work, doing everything else in a couple of weeks' time. And not affect any scar tissue. I'm sure he's got a lot of scar tissue because I think that's his eye that sort of ripped open before. So, if he wanted to fight, he probably could have patched it up and got there in 2 weeks. It would have certainly opened in the fight, but he could have got over the line for the fight. And so that's Fury deciding that the money ain't enough and the risking it ain't enough. He's got to win if he fights. But someone who said this to me today made a very good point. What if, there's all these stories of Fury's had a terrible camp, he's been dropped in sparring, he's out of shape, he's past it, the Ngannou fight is a reflection of where he's at now. But what if that's true? What if he's had a fantastic camp? What if he's had fantastic sparring? What if he's high flying and he's right, I'm going to show the world what I'm capable of and I'm going to beat this Ukrainian guy with the other belt, and in 2 weeks out he gets cut and it's all growth. That's going to be even harder to get over mentally and emotionally than having a stinker of a camp and try and turn it around one day. So, might be the last time. We might never see Fury fight again. Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what, we could have a fight meanwhile, a better one in John Fury and Carl Froch, right?
John Fury, Carl Froch, 94,000, Wembley Stadium. I'll be the ref. I'll let anything slide. And Froch is ready to go, isn't he? He's ready to go. So we will see Froch-Fury before we see Fury-Usyk.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.